We went in and we kind of said, look, this is where we're at and this is where we want to get to. He understood what we wanted, probably more than we did. And you know, he gave us good advice to get to where we are now.
Buying our first house probably cemented us as a couple.
I had got a permanent job in Brisbane and that gave us that opportunity, because prior to that I had a lot of travel to various cities and work sites around Australia.
I was living in Sydney, Tom was living up here in Brisbane. We decided to settle in one city and it was Brisbane. That gave us the opportunity to settle down and commit to each other.
We initially thought we'd go to a broker to see what the best deal we could get, and you know, they'd know the ins and outs of obviously purchasing a home, and it was a big commitment initially, so we wanted to make sure that we're going to someone that could get us the best deal possible and advise us through the whole process. We had an interview with Colin, and I think from the ones we looked at, he seemed to be the guy that was the most approachable, the most down to earth, and we liked the way he conducted himself, so we decided to go with him.
We were still kind of thinking, would we buy something smaller? And then we discovered that we were expecting a baby, so we said, oh, well, rather than buy something like a townhouse, we'd actually buy a family home.
If we looked at a few properties and we'd let Colin know which ones we were looking at, and he would give us reports on those properties, more information than we could get ourselves, which was quite helpful for us to give us a good idea of the areas and the housing markets in those areas, and which were the ones that would suit us better.
He looked into, I think, 100 properties. He obviously works locally and knew things about the suburbs that you can't pick up in CoreLogic data reports, just things like whether they're a pleasant place to live. The purchase of the house was one of the easiest transactions I've ever made. Even though it's the biggest financial commitment I've ever made, it was completely stress-free. I just remember when you rang and said, well, congratulations, you bought a house. We had never lived together before that home, like in the same city, for longer than a couple of weeks at a time. Yeah. Our first child was born into that house. We did a few little renovations. I don't think we would have been confident in making a purchase like that with somebody that we didn't have that rapport with.
After we had our second child, we decided to start looking for a bigger house.
Throughout the process of purchasing the first home, he had really earned our trust and respect.
We approached Colin and he went through the whole process again with us from start to finish on what we could borrow and what we could spend and places to look.
We were in two minds about whether we'd keep our initial house or whether we would sell that and buy our destination home.
He went through renting our initial house as an investment property and what we could get for that, and gave us a kind of a clear picture, and it just made that decision easier for us.
Retaining our first home has been really positive for us because the income from that is actually going towards the mortgage of our home now.
We continue to go back to Colin because of the level of service he provided initially and the level of service he continued to provide. There's no time in there where you felt, you were putting him out by calling him and asking him stuff or emailing him stuff.
He always felt like he had you as his number one priority.